Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Nickel City Mafia channel, where we talk all things Buffalo and then some. I'm Mike Thornton, and today, this afternoon, I'm going to give you a quick recap on the top 8 AFC Contenders using the hurry up offense. I don't want to waste your time, so let's get right to it. Before I get into the top 8, I need to explain one thing. The Steelers, who were 12-4 last year, they are not in my top 8. Yes, Steeler fans are going to be upset with me, but hear me out and then tell me what you think. Here we go. Why no Steelers? They have the hardest schedule. I don't know who they upset on the scheduling committee, but look at who they finish with. Ravens, Vikings, Titans, Chiefs, Browns, Ravens. Look who they open with. The Bills. They're already going to have one loss right there. Then they play the Packers. Then they play Seattle. So within their top 6 games, they potentially have 3 losses. Cincinnati Bengals are not going to be a walk in the park anymore. With Joe Burrow coming back, that team's going to be improved, and they always play their interdivision teams tough. So that's one reason. Key losses, the biggest key loss, Maurkice Pouncey, the center stone of that offensive line. Ben's not going to have him to depend on anymore. Maurkice Pouncey was there for many years with those Steelers, retired. And then finally, an aging Roethlisberger. Let's face it, guys, he's near the end of his career. His arm's not what it used to be. Yes, they have that new offense where he gets rid of the ball, short passes, but when he needs to throw the deep ball, he can't. And sorry to say, I think they continue the trend from last year where they struggled in the last 4 games just to win. And I think that continues this year, and they're in a tough division. So those are my reasons, guys. Sorry again, Steeler fans. I do love the Steelers from the past, but just not this year. Number 8, for me, Chargers. Why the Chargers? Well, one guy, Justin Herbert. He's a star. He's a stud. He's going to be a star for many years. He came in for Tyrod Taylor last year. Hasn't looked back ever since. They had a couple key losses with Hunter Henry. They kind of filled that with Jared Cook, a more veteran player, but that's not the long-term solution for them there. They upgraded their offensive line. They drafted a wide receiver. They drafted offensive line. Most teams do. But anyhow, Josh Palmer, which I looked at some film on him. Check him out on YouTube. You'll be impressed. A nice, strong, decent speed. Not lightning speed, but good possession receiver. I think he's going to add nice value to this team. They already have Austin Eckler, who can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's returning. They have Keenan Allen, great receiver. They have Mike Williams. So they have some of their veterans returning. And that's also just going to help. Those guys have been playing together for a few years now. That's also going to help Herbert as well. And then you add in Josh Palmer, who I just talked about, Jared Cook at the tight end, and I think you have a recipe for success there. The question mark will be on their defense. Do they have enough to compete? I don't know, but they're going to be able to put a lot of points on the board. They can win that way. So again, they're on the bubble at number 8. If some things happen, if things gel, on that defensive side, you never know. And if somebody slips in that top 7, watch out for this team. Number 7, the Colts. Big loss for them last year or this year is Phillip Rivers retired. Man, Phillip Rivers, many good years in for the Chargers. Played in the playoff game against the Bills last year and scared the heck out of me with the Colts. I mean, that was a close game. Could have gone either way. He's retired now. They're going to miss that leadership, that competitiveness, and we'll see what happens. How they think they're going to fill that. Carson Wentz used to play with Frank Reich in Philadelphia when Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator. That's when Carson had his best days. They think reuniting him now with Frank Reich as the coach here for the Colts. They think that's going to bring back those glory days. We'll see. That's the big question mark for me. Can they get Carson playing like he did in the early days when Frank Reich was there in Philly? Now they have some decent talent on the receiving core, but they're about the run, right? Jonathan Taylor, a stud. They're going to live and die with that. And then again, Carson's just going to be able to feed off the run. He's got T.Y. Hilton. T.Y.'s been around for a little bit, but he still brings some good value. They got Michael Pittman Jr. had a pretty good year last year. So they fit in nicely for me at the number 7 spot. They also have a pretty decent schedule. It's not the hardest, 23rd, ranked 23rd. Go to the Dolphins, the sneaky Dolphins. First of all, strength of schedule. Very easy schedule this year based on their opponents from last year that they're playing this year. It's all about Tua. They lost Fitzpatrick, which I think is great for Tua. He was always having to look over his shoulder if Fitzpatrick was going to come in if he made a simple mistake. I think the I think the Dolphins did that wrong last year by doing that to him, but they were contending, so I can understand. They felt that was their the best way to compete. I mean, but Tua is the guy now. They do have Jacoby Brissett, who they signed from the Colts. So that gives you some insurance on Tua, but it's Tua's team. They've added Jalen Waddle, who was a teammate in Alabama with Tua for 2 years. That brings familiarity. They say this Jalen Waddle has Tyreek Hill type ability. Of course, a lot of people you'll hear say things about these receivers. We'll see if he lives up to that. But if he's even close, watch out. Jalen Phillips, they added this amazing edge rusher. I think that team, which was already good on defense, is even going to be better. So watch out for this group. They play our Bills twice. They always give us a hard time. This could be even more difficult this year. I think this team is definitely at number 6 and could even be potentially number 5. Let's go to number 5 is the Titans. Now, a lot of people from my earlier stream said they don't even think Titans should be in the top 8. They could be right. The only reason I'm saying they are in the top 8 is because they have an amazing running game. Derrick Henry. I mean, teams have to try to stop that, and when they even do scheme to stop that, they can't. So what does that mean? If they're focusing on the run, Julio Jones, who they added, wow, watch out, stud, right, with A.J. Brown, that passing game now is going to be fantastic. So that's kind of why I put them in at the 5 spot. Question marks on defense. They didn't have the best ability to shut down teams, get pressure on the quarterback. They lost. One of their notable losses was Clowney, defensive end. But two of the, here's a good question for you guys. They let go Jonnu Smith, their tight end, with 41 receptions, 8 touchdowns, and Corey Davis, 65 receptions last year, 5 touchdowns. Young guys that they drafted and brought up through their system who are stars in this league, and I see being stars in the future. Was it worth letting those two go for Julio? I don't know. I question it. Looks like they're looking for the now. They want to win now. We'll see. Number 4, Ravens. My younger son's favorite player, Lamar Jackson. He can do it all. He's amazing. He's been able to get this team to where they are with not a lot of weapons around him, and now they focus on getting him some weapons. They brought in Sammy Watkins, which, take that as it is. I mean, whatever you think of Sammy, he had some good years in Buffalo, and if he's healthy, he can bring some real good value and take some of the pressure off that young Marquise Brown. Now, they already have stud tight ends. They have Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle backing him up, so they're good there. They also drafted at their first-round pick Rashad Bateman from Minnesota, who was the 5th overall ranked receiver. So again, more weapons around Lamar. Lamar can do it with his legs, but they don't want him to have to do that only when needed. And now he has these additional weapons, which is going to help tremendously. My only concern there is they lost 3 guys who were starters on the defense last year. They had one of the top defensive units, so that is a little concerning. That's my only question mark for them. Number 3, let's go to the Browns here. Yes, the Browns at number 3. All the experts have them moving ahead of the Bills at number 2. They could be right. I'm not ready to say that. You have to prove it to me. Just because you look great on paper does not necessarily mean you're going to put it all together. On offense, yes, they got Baker. They got a great running game with Nick Chubb, which we're severely lacking in our running game. They have Odell Beckham coming back. Let's see if he can put it together and get it back to where he was a few years ago. They have Jarvis Landry, who's been just a steady player no matter where he is. They re-signed Rashard Higgins, speedy receiver, and they have a decent tight end in Austin Hooper. On the defense, they added Jadeveon Clowney to go along with Myles Garrett. So that's a good fit. I think that defensive line was already good. It's going to be even that much better. Defense was strong. They didn't really lose much. So, yes, all the experts are putting them ahead of the Bills. And a few folks that I've talked to say they totally agree. I'm going to stick with the Bills at number 2 only because prove it to me, Browns. Prove it to me. We don't play you during the regular season, unfortunately, but we'll see you in the playoffs. Anyhow, number 2, and partly because the reason why I keep the Bills at number 2, first of all, the Browns have improved it, but they have a strength of schedule. It's pretty easy. I don't know how a team at 13-3 got such a good schedule, but they did. They lost Andre Roberts, a great Pro Bowl kickoff returner. I think that's going to be filled by this 6th-round pick, Marquise Stevenson, a wide receiver from Houston. And during the draft, they picked him up. This guy is super fast. He can get from 0 to 60 in 2 steps. Watch out for him. You're going to hear his name. I believe where we made the mistake is going 1-2 with edge rushers. I do not believe we should have done that. We should have picked Boogie Basham number 1 and went with a running back at number 2. There were some very talented, speedy, strong running backs when we got there at the 61st overall pick. So I think we made a mistake there. We've been trying to get these edge rushers for the last 2 years. Espinoza hasn't really shown anything. Hopefully he can get it worked out. But I think Basham's going to be the biggest impact this year. I think he's got a lot of experience. I think Russo needs some work. Anyhow, I'm disappointed that we didn't go for the running back, and that's been killing us. When you have a team that's so good on the offense and can pass the ball like we can pass, and defenses have to focus on that, it boggles my mind that we can't take advantage of that in the running game. The addition of Emmanuel Sanders, it's okay. It's to me, he's up there in age as well. Yes, he'll bring some leadership, and he can still get it done as a third receiver, so he doesn't have to play that primary role anymore. We added Matt Breida, big deal. Again, I'm not happy with the running back situation. Tight end situation, we also have a problem. I'm not sold on Knox. I hope the rumor about Zach Ertz comes to fruition. That could be a big add for us with leadership, and then he's got the skills, the tight end skills that we could really use. So we'll see. That's a lot of rumors, been going back and forth on that. Whether that happens or not, we don't know. Number 1, of course, are the Chiefs. Again, how do you go against Patrick Mahomes? Unfortunately for us, I think they're going to be they're obviously the team to beat again. They've revamped that offensive line entirely. I mean, just look here at the notable gains. Orlando Brown, to name one of them, but you can see they basically got rid of their tackles on their offensive line because they got destroyed in the Super Bowl, and they've reworked that offensive line completely. They drafted an offensive lineman in the 2nd round, Creed Humphrey, who was basically the 10th overall rated offensive lineman in the draft. They don't need anything on the offensive, the skill players. They have that. That's not changed from last year. Now they're going to give Mahomes much more protection. We already know Mahomes could do it without protection. The guy's throwing balls while he's horizontal with the playing ground. And, I mean, if you look at the Super Bowl, he made a couple throws that if his receivers made a play, that game could have been completely different. So, anyhow, he's amazing. He's still, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the league, and it's going to be tough to beat them. We play them this year, so we'll know. They handled us pretty easily, I felt, last year, the 2 times we played them. Anyhow, they're sticking at the number 1 spot. So that's it, folks. Again, I wanted to get this out quickly for you, so you had something, for those that don't have an hour to watch, you have this, and I hope you enjoy it. Add some comments. I would love to hear what your thoughts are as far as who I put in that top 8. Anyhow, have a happy 4th of July. Until I see you next time, take care.